This audience is always forgiving, always giving you another chance. If in my industry I don't do a film for 2-3 years, they'll say I'm out, failed out. Having this kind of an audience and having this kind of love, who wants to see you, who wants you to succeed, who wants you to try new things, Kaantha encouragement, it's a very special public here.
There is a lot of conflicting chatter around Dulquer Salmaan, the actor, and his presence in the Indian film industry. Referred to as Kunjika, aka Little Brother in his state of Kerala, lovingly due to the legendary status of his father Mammootty referenced as Ikka, Dulquer's presence in Malayalam cinema has been few and far between in the last 3 years, and the ventures in which he has featured as a leading man has been either mid or disasters, namely Kurup and the much anticipated King of Kotha. With Telugu projects like Sitaramam, Lucky Bhaskar, and even a Hindi project like Chup, there has emerged a discussion around Dulquer's work outside of Kerala being more exciting and challenging as an artist. The internet started raging at the very fact that he was critical of the dismissive attitude of some, very important, some Malayalam cinema fans, just because he was absent as a leading man for 2 to 3 years and opting for films in other languages. However, I feel like Dulquer is probably one of the most popular faces in Malayalam cinema. The ones raging on social media are a select few who may be communicating their frustrations with his aspirations outside of Kerala, but the man will be showered with love and praise when he does arrive in his home turf with the right project. I mean, even the glimpse of him in Loka, I still remember, generated such a thumping response in theatres that I think both parties should realize that he is only referencing a select few who are critical of his absence, and that true Malayalam cinema fans just love DQ and the varied choices he is making as an actor. Kaantha, directed by Silvamani Selvaraj, being one of them. This Tamil film, also dubbed in Telugu, has been produced by Dulquer Salmaan and Rana Daggubati and has been in development for over 6 years. I went in for this movie by merely reading its generic synopsis, and my god, did I get invested into a world and journey that was so immersive, so visually stunning, and boasted of such powerful performances that I can't help but rave about it. I hear a lot of criticism floating around with this movie, dismissing it with terms that I really detest when it comes to film analysis, with words like lag and the term artsy type cinema, but I'm here to tell you why this was such a memorable theatre experience. The movie focuses on T.K. Mahadevan, played by Dulquer Salmaan, who is a star in 1950s Madras, and he agrees to do a film that will be directed by his mentor Ayya, played by Samuthirakani. The mentor and pupil parted ways due to large creative disagreements, and the shooting of this film leads to several ego clashes, all a projection of the animosity and resentment that is built up over the years. The leading heroine of the movie, Kumari, played by Bhagyashri, observes this as a bystander while having her loyalties to her mentor Ayya. As the shooting schedule develops and becomes its own beast of problems, to make matters worse, a murder takes place, putting the entire cast and crew under suspicion as an investigation commences, with Phoenix, played by Rana Daggubati, leading the charge. The clash of egos and inner turmoil of an artist and star transitioning into an investigative thriller is the crux of Kaantha. Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of the film so that you guys can ultimately decide whether to watch the movie in theatres or not. The underwhelming aspects. Exterior shots and transition from the tension. When a movie is set in the 1950s, it's the toughest task to recreate the era of how our cities have evolved over the years, and this can be still managed if the movie is primarily shot in constructed sets, which Kaantha largely benefits from as it is a movie based on the making of a movie. However, whenever the film does want to provide us an exterior shot and how Madras may look in the 1950s, the makers use it in the form of CGI backdrops that do look extremely artificial, momentarily disconnecting you from the era in which the movie is set. This was something that was still kept intact in the case of a web series like Jubilee, that never even momentarily made us feel like the series was not set in the 40s and 50s. I guess it's also an extension of how vintage movies used to capture backdrops when characters used to drive in movies, a stationary car with a projector showcasing a montage of the city in the background. But I think I'm being way too lenient in giving the benefit of the doubt to the makers of the film. Finally, I must confess to all of you that this movie may have the most interesting and layered first half I have seen this year, especially when the clash of egos between Mahadevan and Ayya seems to be at its palpable best. Each acting cue and instruction is layered with insults and jabs on each other's characters that it really feels like you're a bystander on the film set seeing all the drama unfold. However, when the film does make its transition to become an investigative thriller, this delicious concoction of artistic egos clashing with each other does take a momentary pause, and it takes some time to start in full gear again. The most divisive performance of the movie will be that of Rana Daggubati as Phoenix, the investigative officer, because he attempts a pitch that is zany and comedic. This is in sharp contrast to every other character in the movie, and while this partly worked for me, I can understand why the audience had a tough time adjusting to this change of tone. When you step in for a film and get so invested in the artistic duel between student and mentor, and it does transition to a Knives Out / Agatha Christie situation, you almost miss the battle of the star and the purist creator that was so exceptionally written in the first half. Thankfully, as the case draws closer to its conclusion, it really does pique your interest rather than absolutely falling flat in its own attempt at packing in so many cinematic elements. The good. Production design and cinematography. The film from a technical point of view is probably the best film you will see this year. I also already have to warn you that I'm a sucker for movies based on the process of making movies. Whenever I think about movies like Kagaz Ke Phool, Khoya Khoya Chand, and even Luck by Chance, there is something so fascinating about the time where there was an enigma and aura behind the process of filmmaking, something that has diluted over the years due to the saturation of information. Mind you, many of the movies based on movies do not really fare well at the box office for the heavy themes it focuses on, and I have to tell you right off the bat that Kaantha will also be divisive because it is not what you associate with star-led films today. It's layered with subtext, it lays emphasis on its writing, stars like Dulquer Salmaan surrender to the roles versus catering to the gallery, and this is what makes it so special. It is devoid of the frills that one will associate with commercial movies, as its energies are targeted towards what is paramount: telling a story. Set decorator Faisal Ali Khan and Ramalingam's production design is absolutely breathtaking, transporting us to the era where studios boasted of large campuses where ideas and stories prospered. The use of mirrors in this movie is masterful, characters finding themselves in front of them and in some instances surrounded by them as they prepare to put on a facade for their characters, the mirror providing them a reflection of their true self and also the conundrum whether they ever stop acting after cut. It's this beautiful life's mystery that is captured exceptionally well by Danny Sanchez Lopez, the cinematographer, that makes you question what is real and what is fictional, what is acting and what is an organic conversation. The movie shifts from color to black and white and to multiple aspect ratios, never in the slightest feeling like a deterrent to the storytelling, actually providing more context to the aesthetic in which the movie is being shot, where the film we are watching is set, and how the characters perceive one another, changing the aspect ratio and color palette dependent on each context. It's rather trippy because you are watching characters act in a film, the scenes playing out in front of you, and even the characters interacting with each other on set, making this triple layer of cinematic brilliance that makes for an exceptionally artistic leap that I now get why Dulquer Salmaan was hell-bent on doing. A flashback into the mysterious. One of the aspects of this film that really made me emotional was the wonder that it tries to capture of an era where the act of being surprised was still so relevant in our lives. The art of filmmaking had a magic that we would only notice on the big screen. Stories that would happen on set were legendary rumors that would spread only through hearsay. There was a huge distance between the stars and the audience. There was a hysteria attached to the sheer presence of some artists, and the world we live in today, this seems like a distant memory, completely alien to us today, where everything is accessible. From the magic of filmmaking to even our favorite stars giving us daily updates about their schedules. The film through director Selvamani Selvaraj provides us a glimpse of the mysterious when there was still a possibility to be surprised, and I think this provides a bittersweet experience of watching this film, of how we have evolved and what has become alien to all of us in the process. The cast. Bhagyashri, no joke, looks absolutely ethereal in this movie, like a yesteryear movie star that one would sing praises for or be obsessed with. In some scenes I was absolutely smitten in awe of her beauty and the command she had on her craft. There is this old world charm to her presence in this movie that absolutely made me a fan of hers. I say this also because Bhagyashri often finds herself in the space of mediocre commercial Telugu cinema, but Kaantha is an absolutely perfect example of the sheer potential she has as an actor. The range she possesses is truly astounding, and I kid you not when I say this, I have not seen an actress look so beautiful on screen in a long time. Samuthirakani as Aya is absolutely brilliant. He is the embodiment of individuals that consider art to be sacred, who consider monetary riches to corrupt the mind, who almost have a look of condescension throughout the movie when observing the haughty and arrogant nature of his once pure pupil who is now a star. There is this deep resentment and hatred he possesses for what his student has become, and when it manifests into several arguments on set, it all spills out through passive-aggressive means, only for the entire crew to just awkwardly observe. Dulquer Salmaan, however, features in one of his most challenging roles, and he absolutely hits it out of the park. I wouldn't go out of my way to say that this is his best performance of his career, because I still hold Ustad Hotel and even Charlie right up there. But my god, is Dulquer phenomenal in this movie. The choices that this star is making really makes me believe that he is on this never-ending journey to really put himself in the deep end as an artist. There is this reverence that he has for Aya, a frustration that he feels towards him for his lack of evolution. There is an organic smugness that is creeped in for the kind of movies he does, and this manifests into him becoming blind as he is surrounded by sycophants and yes men. Dulquer does physical comedy from the schools of Chaplin and Buster Keaton, tap dances with ease with Bhagyashri, performs at the pitch of dramas from the 50s, and switches in tone and delivery with such skill that I was truly in awe of him in this film. Dulquer beautifully showcases a man with all the riches and acclaim, but a man who internally was also deeply insecure about his craft, and it's standing on faulty ground, which really makes me believe the best part about the movie is its subtext, score, and relevance. The film will provide you insight into the role of the star and the artist and how these themes that are explored for a movie set in the 50s are still so relevant when you look at our film industry today. Mahadevan as a star is constantly found to be at the behest of the audience. Every artistic decision that he makes is spoken with the assumption about what the audience may want. Aya is of the thought that art should come from within, from the deep sense of hurt or experiences one has in their own life. The acceptance or rejection of the audience is out of his control. If it comes from truth, it is bound to endure. This exploration of truth and performing with only this anchoring and inspiration is the constant battle between Aya and Mahadevan, as Jakes Bijoy also makes his presence felt, a score ideal for the setting and tension between the characters. Aya is an artist who feels like the text and craft is sacrosanct, whereas the star, Mahadevan, who feels like these processes are futile, if not created to merely cater to the audience. The star calls the shots in the movie, the insecurity that creeps in when his solo shots are replaced with the actress, the light, the best angle that the fans love. Mahadevan's every decision is dictated by his assumption of what the fans will love. A joker performing at their request, lacking individual identity. It's a delicious concoction of themes as a movie that they are shooting, and the acting cues that are being given on set have hints of truth laced around their predicament in life individually or the relationships around them. A scene in which Aya gives cues to Mahadevan as he approaches a mirror, each step representing how the character is feeling is laced with truth about what he represents, and Dulquer channelizes this pain, buries it under his ego, and still puts forth a groundbreaking performance, for he is still Aya's best student. Kaantha really turned out to become an extremely memorable theatre-going experience for me. It's not devoid of faults because its technical prowess and performances especially more than compensate in making it a period tale that is still relevant regarding themes of art and culture on the surface, but even deeper, a commentary on morality and one's own conscience. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about Kaantha. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handle is right in front of you. Follow me at JammyFans4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.